And we're taking a closer look at that market action today with Patrice Rassou from Ashburton Investments. Patrice, a pleasure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you and to your viewers.
All right, Patrice, green screens all around. We welcome it. I'm keen to get your thoughts on what we're contending with this afternoon.
Yes, I think global markets taking its cue from the U.S. markets. If you look at what happened overnight ahead of the Independence Day holiday today, we had a 23rd record close by the NASDAQ and a 33rd record close by the S&P 500. I mean, these two indices, NASDAQ's up 21% year to date and S&P up 16%. Really a Goldilocks scenario playing out in the U.S., meaning the economy, which was seen as being slightly too hot, starting to cool down, and in actual fact, slowing data is seen as positive because it allows room for the Fed to cut rates. So we've had releases of unemployment, demand for unemployment benefits edging up, and also the job creation numbers slowing down slightly. So it's not a hard landing. It's not even a soft landing. It's probably a softish landing that is expected, which gives room for inflation to start cooling down in the U.S. and for the Fed to start looking at interest rate cuts, perhaps as early as the 18th of September.
Very, very keen on that, Patrice. I'm also seeing here a lot of our retailers are in the red. Mr. Price, Truett, ShopRite, these are SA Inc. Proxy shares. I'm wondering if markets are concerned about South Africa in any way.
Not really. I think the JSE has had a strong run over the last month. If you look at the top 40, which is really quite heavy with global stocks, that's up 4.5% over a month. But the mid caps, which is more reflection of SA Inc., where some of the retailers reside, that's up just over 9% over the last month. So you might have a bit of a slowdown now, but I think overall the picture is also very positive. We've had slowing inflation in South Africa, which gives room to the SARB to start cutting rates. Also probably towards the end of the third quarter this year into the fourth quarter.
The rand also at 18.38 to the dollar at this point. I'm keen to get your thoughts on that one. Is it the dovish comments coming out of the US that have seen that rand firm up a little bit?
Yeah, I think there is a context there. The rand's up about 3% over the month. It's actually flattish year to date, but I think the issue is that we had a lot of negative sentiment at the beginning of the year around the budget and our fiscal position. I think that started to be seen more positively post-election as there's a view that economic policy, there will be continuity in economic policy. And the global context, I think the rand will benefit from a soft landing in the global economy and interest rates being cut in the U.S., which would allow flows to get back into emerging markets.
It certainly is a quiet time on the corporate action front, but I'm keen to really get your thoughts on the news that Bidvest will be selling off its bank here. We obviously know that the Bidvest bank was not the usual kind of transactional bank, Patrice, that many are exposed to. It was very niche, but obviously Bidvest as a group feeling like it is best to offload it.
Yeah, this is not so new, fairly new CEO, Mpumi Madisa, has done a great job to refocus the group. Bidvest Bank, per se, is non-core. They acquired it from the Rennies Group way back in 1998. They've tried to bolster the operations by buying Mercantile that was rebuffed. As you know, Mercantile now has gone to Capitec. And it's really an issue whereby the bank absorbs a lot of the capital, and it's quite difficult for it to compete. If you look at the current second-tier banks, we have Sasfin Bank as one. Mercantile has been bought out by Capitec. Greenrod Bank was acquired by African Bank for 1.5 billion a year or so ago. So now Bidvest Bank is looking for a new home. This will release capital, and already there's noises that there's another acquisition on the line, probably looking at Canada and North America, whereby they would continue expanding into their services business.
Also want to touch on what we're seeing here with SARS and Woolworths, of course, a very complex tax issue here. But what is very interesting here, Patrice, is just how often we see some of these listed companies add loggerheads with SARS. I'm wondering if, that is just evidence of a more rigorous SARS there, or just the complexity of it all, especially when there's been some, overseas or non-resident transactions there.
I think you're right on both fronts. SARS really, given our fiscal situation that I spoke about earlier, looking at every transaction that corporates have done overseas. We had a coronation case which ended up in a very victory for the corporate. Now there's this issue linked to the deal that Woolies did in Australia with a retailer called David Jones. That was a 25 billion rand deal, and within that there were various services provided in South Africa linked to the rights issue where they raised capital. Just to simplify the story is that Woolies sees VAT as a deductible input tax. SARS is challenging that. They actually had gone to court already, and Woolies was found that they were entitled to deduct the tax, but that continues to be challenged. I think your point is completely valid. I think we have our revenue services a lot more aggressive looking into that and challenging companies in terms of transactions that they've done before.
With that said, Patrice, I'm keen to get your stock pick this afternoon. Which counts are you loving?
Yeah, I think at this point in time, some good news coming from Investec. I think the banks have been in favor and have done very well. But a few of them are still trading quite attractively. I mean, Investec trading at an 8 times PE. They're likely to benefit from a windfall. There's been the acquisition of Assupol from Sanlam. And really, this would benefit Investec because through their private equity operations, they are likely to get proceeds of about 1.7 billion from that. So my pick is Investec for today.
Wonderful, Patrice. An absolute pleasure speaking to you this afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. That was your midday markets update with Ashburton Investments, Patrice Rassou.